everybody. Welcome to the Real Ethereal show. And today we are going to talk about our friends, the Sagittarians. Sagittarius. I love Sagittarians. I love all the signs, but I especially love the spirit of Sagittarius. And we're going to get all into it today about the archer. And actually, that's the symbol for Sagittarius, the archer, but it's really more of a centaur. It's like the archer, half horse, or an archer on a horse, something like that. Jesse's laughing. Yeah, Sagittarius. First of all, let me just get out of the way. My very favorite Sagittarius happens to be the shirt I'm wearing today. Jimi Hendrix. That's right. He is my favorite. I'm a huge fan, and November 27th. So the dates for Sagittarius are November 22nd to December 21st. It is a masculine sign. It is a fire sign, and it is the mutable fire sign. Now, we talked a little bit about the fact that the symbol for Sagittarius is the archer. So that speaks to its phrase, which is I aim or I see. I also like another phrase that goes along with it is I teach. So the archer, that represents a lot of Sagittarian attributes. First of all, they are extremely smart and they pinpoint ideas. They like to really pinpoint ideas like an archer would pinpoint its target. It's also very athletic. It speaks to the athleticism of Sagittarians. They are very physical, athletic people. Most fire signs are, but especially Sagittarian. Sagittarius and Aries are the two very physical fire signs. Let's see. The other part of that spirit animal of Sagittarius, besides, or the symbol, is horse. And Sagittarians, they really do have a lot of horse energy. You know, when you say people are horsey, whether or not they know how to ride a horse or not, a lot of things about a horse are very Sagittarian. You know, horses, it's hard to tame them. They have a lot of power. They are really good at racing. They're really physical. They're big. So sometimes they're, some horses, learn how to be not clumsy, but they can kind of barrel through things, charge ahead. That's a Sagittarius. Competitive. Sagittarians are extremely competitive, and I think the horse represents that. I have my own symbol for Sagittarius that is little known. I think it should be the new symbol for Sagittarius, and that is a golden retriever. That's right. I think Sagittarians are most like a golden retriever. And what do I mean by that? Well, golden retrievers, they jump on people. They can knock things over with their tail. They have this very optimistic, happy spirit. They can get messy. They're really physical. They like to be outdoors. When they play, they can be very competitive and they want to wrestle and fight, and they run off. If you don't have them on a leash, they might take off. That's Sagittarius. That whole energy of, hey, how are you? Who are you? Hey, that a golden retriever has. Sagittarius. Yeah. If you have a Sagittarius child, I tell people that, I talk to people about their children's charts when they're born. And I tell parents of Sagittarius children, I'm like, look, enjoy their dependency while you can when they're little. Because the minute they can be gone, they will be. They're probably not going to live at home. They're probably not going to live in the city you live in. And you're not going to know where they are half the time. They are adventurers. They like to be out and about. They like to be gone. They like to go explore. Which leads me to what their house is. Sagittarius rules the ninth house. So what are the ninth house attributes? Higher education, which is kind of interesting because we're talking about being horsey and physical and competitive. Well, people don't think this about Sagittarians all the time. They are extremely intelligent. They rule higher education. They have very active minds. They love to debate. You know, Sagittarius rules legal matters, rules the law. So a lot of lawyers would be Sagittarius. I would say a lot of lawyers would be, a lot of Sagittarians would be, they're the types of people that like to debate. If you know somebody who's a Sagittarius and they're truly Sagittarian, they're the kinds of people that love to, when they're out to dinner or when they're, just in a conversation, they like to say the thing that's shocking. Or they like to say, like if they're sitting at a table full of liberals, they'll say something conservative. What about, I love Donald Trump. I think he was right. They could be the most liberal person you've ever seen in your life. They do it to amuse themselves. They like to poke people to get them to fight with them or get them to be flustered they just love, here's a good way to put it. They love to stir the pot. A Sagittarius just loves to stir the pot. They also are mutable. We've talked about what that means. They are a mutable fire sign. So the mutable signs kind of go along with things. And the air sign that's mutable is Gemini. So it's more mental how they go along. Sagittarians are fire sign mutable. So they love to go with whatever's going on. They get distracted. Oh, I want to go to that party. Oh, I'll go on that trip. Oh, I'm going to go to that country. Oh, I'm going to go here, there, everywhere. So they're very physical in their mutable nature. They can change their mind all the time. Here's another funny thing about them. Funny. They're very accident prone. And, a lot of people don't know this about Sagittarians. And then when I tell them that, if they are a Sagittarius, it just, they can't believe it because they are always, 9 times out of 10, the person that always breaks their ankle or twists their ankle or has some big bruise on their forehead because they tripped and fell. Or, they're always breaking a bone. They're always, just tripping over things. They're always on crutches. They always have a cast a lot of times. They always have bruises or scrapes or whatever because they're very physical and they're just accident prone. The other thing about them, which is kind of odd because they are typically extremely amazing athletes. They need to move around. They typically have really great physical skill. And they need to have, they also have all that fire energy that they need to get out. So again, if you're a parent of a Sagittarian, get them in sports quickly. They're competitive. Not only are they competitive on a field, but again, when I told you they like to stir the pot in a conversation, they're competitive in conversation, which is what makes them good lawyers. They want to get in the court and win. They want to grandstand. They want to argue. They want to make the argument. And they're mental. They love, opposing. They love to be put on a side and then they figure out, like a debate team, how do they debate from that angle. Doesn't really matter what angle they're on. They just want to, figure out how to debate from that angle. So it can be very frustrating for people until you understand it and then you know that they're probably just bored. Which, by the way, they get bored easily. So they get bored physically easily. They fidget. Geminis get bored mentally. Sagittarians get bored physically. They can't sit still. They need, they don't like to live in a place too long. They don't like to be in the same relationship for very long. They're known for that. They don't like to settle down. They're very much about freedom. I would say Aquarians, Sagittarians, and Geminis are the most freedom-loving of all the signs in the zodiac. They just can't be tied down. They get bored easily. They don't want to be controlled. They won't be controlled. And they just need to keep moving, constantly keep moving. Okay. Okay, another attribute or sign that you may be sitting next to a Sagittarius, and this one, I'm telling you, happens all the time: foot and mouth syndrome. Yeah, they are the ones that blurt out the worst things. Whatever's up here comes out here. They have little to no filter. They are constantly tripping over themselves, what they've said. They're the ones, they love to tell jokes. They love to be the clown of the group. And a lot of times they don't think about the company, the people that are sitting at the table before they tell the joke, and it could be offensive. It could, and actually, and when they say something offensive or when they make a joke that's not very appropriate and everybody gets upset, they're not bored for a minute. So they actually like that a little bit, typically. So, it takes the right kind of company to hang around a Sagittarius. But the good news about them is it's never a dull moment with Sagittarius. Never a dull moment. And they don't want to hang around dull people either. They won't hang around you for very long if you're boring or there's not a lot going on around you. So, what planet is Sagittarius? Can you guess by now? Jupiter. Jupiter, and they are so emblematic of everything that Jupiter stands for. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Jupiter is the planet of good luck. Jupiter is the God planet. So let's talk about how that applies to Sagittarius. Planet of good luck. That is so true about a Sagittarius. They are so lucky. They are the ones, they win lotteries, they win competitions. They are the type of people that kind of live on the edge. Everybody knows somebody like this that lives on the edge, and they make all these kind of crazy choices. They might be kind of self-destructive. Somehow they always end up on their feet. Somehow, they screwed up having this job, but, oh my gosh, but I got this great job offer in, Zimbabwe. Or, and you're just like, how did this guy continually have, the next fun, cool thing that they're doing, and they never seem to have to pay for their mistakes, right? They're almost like Tigger. I talk about golden retrievers, but they sort of, bounce around. They're kind of annoying, but they kind of bounce around and you kind of love them to pieces, and they always land. They're like rubber. They always kind of bounce back. Probably with a twisted ankle, a cast, or scrapes, but they always bounce back. They're always fine. So we love that about them. Expansive. Let's talk about how Jupiter makes them expansive. They think big. I love a Sagittarian's attitude. I say this is one of their themes. Sagittarius. You never know what's just around the corner. That's a Sagittarius for you. You cannot keep these people in a negative place. They're mostly very optimistic. They teach us about optimism. You never know what awesome idea is coming, what awesome good fortune is coming. You can't keep me down. I'm so excited about what's next. They just do not get in a funk. They do not stay stuck. It's one of the best things that we can be taught by Sagittarius energy. It's why they make amazing entrepreneurs. And a lot of times they're chronic entrepreneurs. They have the crazy idea, but they just believe it could happen. I believe this could really work, right? And before you know it, they've tried, everybody thinks they're kooky and they never stick to anything. People will be like, they never stick to anything. They never stay in one place very long. But, by God, then they hit pay dirt. They always land on their feet. And typically a Sagittarius, when they make it big. It's that Jupiter good luck. It's like winning the lottery. They think big, they dream big, and they have like a fire. Most fire signs are like this, especially Aries and Sagittarius. They throw everything up on the table. They put everything up on the table, and they, go big or go home. and they lose big and then they win big. You know, it rules gambling. The gambling energy is Sagittarian energy. So they take risks. They like the thrill of taking risks. They like the thrill of gambling, and gambling with relationships, you know, gambling on a long shot, gambling with companies, you know, gambling with, I'm going to move to this other country. I'm just going to see what it's like to live in Iran. I just have this notion I want to go there. That's a Sagittarian. So another great attribute for Sagittarians is that because they are ruled by Jupiter, which is about expansion, and because they rule the ninth house, they are all about international things. What does that mean? That means international food, even. They like food from different countries. They like different languages. They could be very adept, along with Gemini, to have foreign language skills. They could have many different languages. They love different cultures. Travel is extremely therapeutic and medicinal for Sagittarius. Like if you want to love a Sagittarius well, surprise them a lot with many things, but one of their favorite surprises would be, guess what? I packed your bag. We're going to fill in the blank. They love that. So anything international, you will find Sagittarians in youth hostels when they're younger. You will find Sagittarians on the backs of camels. You will find them hiking in Nepal. You will find them anywhere that they weren't born. So if you're born in Europe, you're probably in the United States. If you're born in the United States, you're probably in Asia. These people, they're, you know, I've told parents this again when they have a Sagittarius child. My business partner actually has a child who's born in the ninth house, okay, which is very Sagittarian. And I said, guess what? She's a woman, she's going to be a woman of the world. So Sagittarians are people of the world, and they see themselves like that. So it's lovely. So I wanted to talk about, like I always do, what does it mean when you have a Sagittarius moon? Well, as we know, the moon is our love language, and the moon is our how we express ourselves emotionally, and the moon is how we feel secure. So with all the things I've told you about Sagittarius, what does that mean related to moon topics? Well, a Sagittarius is going to love somebody by giving them space and freedom. They're going to love somebody passionately, their fire sign. They're going to, what kind of date are they going to take you on? They're going to want, or what kind of date do you want to take them on? You need to take them to an amusement park. You need to take them to a restaurant that has foreign food. You need to take them to an Indian restaurant or a Japanese restaurant, anything that's not America. If they're from America, wherever they are, take them to another country's cuisine. You want to take them to sporting events. Or better yet, a date with a Sagittarius would be, let's go play tennis. Let's go hiking. Hiking's great, but they want to compete. So competing against you would be great. If you're in a relationship with a Sagittarius, put your armor on when it comes to getting your feelings hurt, because they're just going to say stupid stuff that hurts your feelings. I mean, they're that partner that just insensitive. And it's not that they don't care. They just say things before they think about what the impact's going to be, right? They may joke with you and it's not funny. They're the ones who make fun of other people and it is not funny. Or it's funny to them and that's really all that matters because they're just trying to entertain themselves. So they're practical jokers. Another part of their love language, busy. They want to be busy. They don't want to stay home. They don't want to stay home. They want to travel. They want to move around, literally move around, like not stay in the same place. signing up for a mortgage with a Sagittarian, probably not a good idea. So your moon is also about how you would be nurturing as a parent, like a Sagittarian mother. Sagittarian parents are going to be the parents that are like, watch their kid on the jungle gym and their kid falls down on the ground and they're crying and they're like, oh, it's okay, dust yourself off, get back up. And they just, buck up and keep going. Bloody noses, all that. It just makes people tougher. That's a Sagittarian's mindset. So let's talk about a Sagittarius ascendant. Now, a Sagittarius ascendant, an ascendant is what's your first impression. It also is when you're very threatened, how do you react? So, first impression, if you have a Sagittarius ascendant, I love, we talked about this earlier, you'll probably look a little bit horsey. Do you know what that means? Like you might be a little bit lumbersome. You might dress a little horsey.
I'm a Sagittarius ascendant. I think I'm all those things.
Case, you want to come and stand in front and do a twirl? It's hilarious. Yeah. What I mean by that is, let's look at this for a second. Jesse is a Leo. So was he decked out from head to toe and in a zoot suit? No, he is not. He has a Sagittarius ascendant. Do you know what Sagittarian ascendants want to be comfortable? They want to be able to move around in their clothes. They want to have clothes that they can get dirty and not care. Sagittarius ascendant. They are going to be the ones who put their foot in their mouth. They're going to be the ones that might seem a little awkward at the party until you get to know them. How does a Sagittarius ascendant defend themselves? If they're really threatened, they fight. Excuse my language, they pull the earrings out and cut a bitch. Excuse my language, but they do. They swing. They don't go to their heads. They don't do this. They're fun. They're affable. Hey, how you doing? They're jokey. They're laid back. Threaten their loved one, threaten a family member, and all of a sudden they're it's that fire in them. They come out swinging. They also are great debaters. So they'll argue with people and they'll be quick in their cuts, their jibes. They will go after people verbally and they will rip them verbally because they have that intelligence and they will just go after it. You will be a Sagittarius ascendant. If you have threatened them, they will cut you with words and you will not even know what just happened if they're threatened. So interesting. So a Sagittarius sun, so that's going to be more your mode of living. Active lifestyle. Probably don't stay in one domicile for very long, depending on what your aspects are. Probably not married or in a relationship for very long. Like to date around. That's a Sagittarius sun. Okay, let's talk about some famous Sagittarians because I found some really good ones. One that I love just right off the bat, Miley Cyrus. I was just on the internet the other day and saw some picture. The picture where she's riding on the wrecking ball, or I don't know what it is, and her tongue sticking out, and she's like, woo, almost like she's riding a horse. That is Miley Cyrus. People make fun of her. It's awkward how she can be sometimes. She does not care. She is stirring the pot, okay? It is not even about making people laugh or anything at times with her. She just wants to, get under people's skin. You know what I'm saying? She just wants to, she's goading large groups of people. That's so Sagittarius. And, that she's starting a discussion. Okay? That's Miley Cyrus. So Sagittarius. physical, my gosh, all the different projects, all the different personalities. It's very mutable. In fact, mutable, didn't she say she's gender fluid? She calls herself gender fluid. There's that mutable fire sign, right? Just fluid. Fluid in lots of ways. Physical, loud, outspoken. I mean, how many times has she gotten in trouble by something she said? Sagittarius. Here's another one that I just think is fantastic. Mark Twain. Mark Twain, perfect Sagittarius. So Mark Twain was known during his time almost more he was known for the quotes in the newspaper. People would talk to him and he would just say the most outlandish things that he knew would get attention. Sagittarius. Funny. I mean, he had so much humor, and a lot of his, writings were really astute, but they had a lot of humor. Mark Twain, there's something I haven't mentioned about Sagittarius that Mark Twain really embodies, and that's a high-low, the high-low thing. Sagittarians can be very kind of up, they're really intelligent. They can be very upscale. They can be very, gentrified and, fancy. And then they can go hang out in the pub with the rugby players or the, whoever, and just, get drunk and brawl. And I mean, high, low. They can be at the black tie event and then they can go hang out and get drunk, do shots of people in the pub. So Mark Twain, right? So he was very erudite, very intelligent, and he swam and ran with, people from all over the world. There's the international piece, thinkers from all over the world. And then he really did a ton of research just even about the Mississippi when he wrote Huck Finn. Some of the people he wrote about and immersed himself in were really people that weren't educated. He again, there's high-low. One of the things about him that is so Sagittarian, two more things that I thought of. He lived all over the world. And anybody who knows his story, he literally put his family on the road for 15, 20 years. They literally didn't have a home to live in. They just went from hotel to hotel, from country to country. There's a Sagittarius for you. Here's the other thing Sagittariuses do. They spend money. A lot of them can't save money. They put money in big ventures. Mark Twain put a lot of money in some bad investments, some crazy ventures. So Sagittarius. And he lost a lot of money. I think he died almost penniless because he had spent or invested poorly a lot of his money. The thing with Mark Twain, though, I guess he died without a lot of money. If he had been given 20 more years to live, he would have made it back. It's just a matter of time. Sagittarians go like this with their money because Jupiter is their ruling planet, and it's just good luck, good fortune. So he's a great example of Sag. So other famous Sagittarians, Ozzy Osbourne, Keith Richards, Richard Pryor. First of all, Richard Pryor is just funny, but all three of those kind of symbolize the hard partying nature of Sagittarians. And Richard Pryor, I mean, I know he famously called on fire, which isn't funny. I mean, people made fun of that, but constantly having accidents. But you look at like Ozzy Osbourne and Keith Richards, they should not be alive. You want to talk about Sagittarians, absolutely are the cats in the sense of they have 9 lives. It's just, how do they bounce back? Nobody knows. They have these crazy lifestyles and they just keep going. They also, especially all three of those people, Keith Richards, Ozzy Osbourne, Richard Pryor, they just said the most controversial things. I mean, Keith Richards is a prime example of somebody who would just, whatever the crowd was in front of him, he would say the opposite of what they wanted to hear. He would figure out who they are, and then he would say, well, I'm XYZ, just to make everybody upset. Such a Sagittarian. So I would just say in conclusion that, I always say thank you to the signs. And the thing that we all can thank Sagittarius for and that we can all look up to or want a little bit more of that Sagittarius has is number one is optimism. That whole phrase, you never know what's just around the corner. We could all use a little more optimism and not feeling stuck and having this expectation that life is awesome and that life is an adventure. We could all use a little bit more adventure in our lives and also just a sense of humor and a bounce back attitude about everything. The other thing about Sagittarius, let's thank them for, is showing the value of taking a risk. Showing us the value that you have to, in order to ever get anything big or do anything big, you have to take a risk. So they teach us that. And they're also just making the world a little bit more fun. One bad joke at a time. So thank you, Sagittarius, for your fun-loving, life-giving spirit. I hope you guys have had fun with this today. I have. Thanks, Jimi Hendrix. Bye, everybody.